Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, a podcast where I sit down with some of my friends in the local Columbus, Ohio theater, film, and improv scene and talk a bunch of geeky stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad, but all of it definitely geeky. If you enjoy our program, be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and to leave a review or subscribe wherever you can get podcasts. Our official sponsor of the show is Audible. With over 200,000 titles to choose from, get one audiobook and 2 Audible originals each month included with your trial, even once your trial ends and normal membership begins. Best part is you own your library, meaning you keep the books even if you cancel with easy exchanges. So if you don't love a book, swap it out for free anytime. Sign up for your free trial over at audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Download the Audible app and start enjoying your new audiobook now. Also, support for this podcast has been made possible by our Kickstarter backers, Ashley Carson, Catherine Ranella, Wooz, Yannick, Doug Poeta, Christopher LeBlanc, Andrew, Kenny, Jerome Wetzel, Casey May, Anonymous, Tavia Ordway, Anthony Portillo, Jen and Brian Petrie, guest 16554255418, Laura Spires, Kimberly Barr, Kyle Jepson. We here at The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky want to advise listeners that this episode was recorded during the pandemic between the end of 2019 and the end of 2020. In this episode, I am here with
Kyle Jepson
as we sit down and we talk about The Umbrella Academy Seasons 1 and 2 on this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. And a word of warning that there will be spoilers aplenty, not just on this, but I would say anything to do with The Umbrella Academy, the music referenced, and much, much more. So listener beware. Is there anything you want to say about the Umbrella Academy? Join in on the conversation by interacting with us via social media or email. Twitter and Instagram is username goodbadgeeky. Email me at goodbadgeeky@gmail.com or go to facebook.com/goodbadgeeky. We may read your comment on a future episode. Kyle, you are here and to talk with us about the Umbrella Academy, and I just want to say that it's your Twitter feed that sped the process up of me watching the show, me and my wife watching the show, just because I figured it was going to be good, but I wasn't in a rush to watch it.
Neither was I. Like, I slept on season 1. Like, it came out and I was, Ellen Page. CGI ape. That's interesting, but like honestly, I did not watch it up until the week before season 2 came out.
Oh man. I watched it. So we started watching it, I think the day season 2 came out, because I had been seeing your tweets. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to get some of the wording right, but I like the descriptor word you use, which is the soundtrack slaps.
Oh my God.
And it does. It slaps so hard.
That soundtrack. Like, I don't think I've loved a soundtrack that hard, and I'm not trying to simp here, but since we talked about Baby Driver,
right,
like, a couple years ago now, right? But, oh my God, like, the minute I Think We're Alone Now started playing in season 1, I was like, oh, damn. Like, it doesn't matter how hard this series sucks. Even if, and it doesn't suck, but if it did suck, I'd be like, for this soundtrack, I'd be here for it.
Oh, yeah.
Because then after that, they play I can't remember the name, Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Now. Yeah. Hold on. I have had a
I was trying to bring it up
music
on my phone, but I can't remember. But like, God, that soundtrack, like that, I think that is honestly what looped me in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I think if that were not the case, it would not have intrigued me in the way it did.
Yeah. Well, so like you fell asleep for the first season because kind of like you, it was the same thing. I guess my only thing is that Ellen Page is in it. Ellen Page is like a movie star who is, and I don't mean this in no disrespect to her lately, and because she should be, she's been more pro, rights, gay rights, and she does indie films because it allows her the freedom to do that stuff, and she can have more control over what's being said in the movie instead of the Hollywood blockbuster machine. And I completely get that, and I'm fine with that. But at the same time, I'm also going, but you're still a movie star. And I just have not seen her do a TV show before. And I know that's the new thing too, is people do TV stars. So my watching it goes, the trailer looks cool, looks good. it looks like Ellen Page is going to die in the first episode or the second episode, or she'll die by the end of the season.
I'd agree with that necessarily. Like, I remember when like the first season came out, I saw it and I was like, I had a moment of, oh, Ellen Page. But I could tell, like, from everything else, it was obviously like a kind of like superhero origin story, what have you. And I wasn't really like feeling it at the time.
Yeah.
But given our current predicament, like, I started watching it right before the second season came out, and so like I finished the first series in maybe a day.
Nice.
And then I want to say, like, I started it like either the Wednesday or Thursday before series 2 premiered. Then I watched series 2 in a day. But then, like, a week later, I had been, like, kind of mentioning it to my mother offhand, which turns out my mom hates fantasy. Did not know this growing up. Like,
oh, wow.
It was my 20s when she was like, oh, yeah, I hate Star Wars. And I was like, what? I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
But
I get that.
Yeah, but she was just kind of like, yeah, but you liked it, so I never said anything. And I was like, bless you, you're an angel. But I forget why, but I went home and I was like kind of talking to her about it. She's like, oh yeah, I watched like the first episode of that and I was super into it. Like, would you want to watch it again? Because you've already seen it. And I was like, yeah, I think I would. So my mother and I proceeded to watch both seasons in the span of 2 days.
Oh my gosh. That's first off, that's awesome because it's quality time. And then also it's a good show. Like, I think we're not going to say anything out of turn here, which is that it's a damn good show.
It absolutely is.
I don't think there's a lot I have to say negative about the show. And if it is, it's fleeting. It's just more like a random like observation of, oh, well, that was a weird choice. But I can't, I didn't go back and rewatch the show to lead up into this, but I did like look over like synopses of episodes and I would look at clips or whatever. And I still really can't see a lot of problems with anything that's going on. And also they are kind of telling a complex story in long term in terms of it's every season ends on a cliffhanger to set up the next season, I guess I should say. So I don't know what the final end game fully is. Do you know what I mean? And so in that regard, I can't criticize it in that regard.
Honestly, I don't think anyone does.
Right.
Because I feel like up until recently, and this is only because I've read like the history of the series or whatever, but like up until recently. So, okay, for anyone who does not know, this show is based off a comic book series.
Yes.
That was conceptualized by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance, which is like, a staple of any emo child's worldview from like what we'll say 2000, like we'll say like early 2000s. I can't even tell. Like, I'll be the first to admit I was not a huge MCR fan.
Yeah,
I just wasn't, but I liked it. Like, I was like kind of a tertiary fan. But like the moment that I found out that Gerard Way was like the writer for this comic book series, I was like, I had a moment of like, of course it was. Of course it was.
Yeah, and also shout out to the artist of the book too, is Gabriel Ba. I'm not probably saying that right, but they've been consistent together working on the book for the entire time. And I haven't read the book yet, but I did back the Kickstarter, and apparently one of the prizes that I get is that I get the full collected volume up until, I don't know if it includes Hotel Oblivion or if it's right before Hotel, but which pretty much, AKA, it's the first 2 seasons of the show.
Yeah.
That's what the book is made of.
And that was my kind of point, was like, I haven't read the comic, but I kind of want to now, even though...
Oh yeah, me neither.
However it was released, like, it seems like they as far as like we'll say the show canon, they skipped Hotel Oblivion, right?
Hotel, kinda. So
that was like, we'll make it simple. Like, Hotel Oblivion was where they sent all their villains, right?
Yeah, I guess so. See, I guess that's the thing. I don't even know that. I mean, reading the Wikipedia, it says no one escapes from the hotel, but I guess so. I guess that is where they send them.
Okay, yeah. So from what I understand is Hotel Oblivion is like kind of the second book of the comic, and like any comic fans, I'm so sorry. I have not read them. Don't come at me. But like Hotel Oblivion is like any of their former villains they have sent to the Hotel Oblivion on the dark side of the moon, which ties back into the show in a way. But like Hotel Oblivion they skipped and they went into the third book to go into season 2, which either way, like I need to read the comic. I do want to read the comic because I'm very interested in that now, but like it seems that where they left off, because they either couldn't get money from Dark Horse or some other thing, like whatever the next season they may do for Umbrella Academy, to my knowledge, doesn't really have a precedent. There's no kind of storyline set out.
Yeah, the Sparrow Academy is the 4th volume, and it's not released at all yet. And that is what they're doing for the next season, but it's also, well, and so I guess let's talk about that for a second, because even though you and I have both not read the comic officially, like if we look at the picture of the characters,
let's talk about it though.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit, because in passing, if you go, okay, because you and I, well, anybody, even if they're not like big, I am a person, if I hear something or see something that interests me, it might take me later in the day, or I might do it right then. I'll look it up on Wikipedia, and sometimes I'll go on a deep dive and I'll just immerse myself. And other times I'll just get enough info to wet my whistle, and I'll come back to it later when I can think of it.
So you're going to fandom.net like I do.
Kind of. Yeah, honestly, yeah. The fandom Wikia, they actually have some pretty cool, and it's all done by the fans, and they're very caring and loving of the property that they're invested in. And with Umbrella Academy, I remember I looked at some of the images and the covers looked cool, but when you looked at the characters, they look nothing like the kids from the show. Like it looked like the kids in the comic book, but when they grow up, they look nothing alike. And I'm not just talking about racial differences.
It's very stylized.
Oh, yeah. It's like a mixture of X-Men and Hellboy, which is actually, I think one of the things is Gabriel, he grew up reading the 90s X-Men where there's time travel with Cable and Bishop and all this and that. And you can definitely pick that up from just the idea. Like if you had to explain Umbrella Academy to someone, you can go, oh, yeah, that kind of reeks of Days of Future Past, X-Men kind of thing. But like everything, it's like, and I appreciate it too. Damn it, I gotta quit fidgeting with stuff because I'm just breaking
Nick,
everything.
Jesus.
Sorry. God damn.
There's things in front of you? How dare you?
I know. Or like this is a cable I'm holding. Guys, I'm a fidgeter. I don't know if you know this. I don't have ADD, but sometimes I just like to fidget in my hands. And if I have stuff in front of me, it's really bad. Maybe I do have ADD. I don't know. Hey everybody, welcome to AD. Actually, that should be the name of the podcast. Hello, or I might have ADD. Hey, let's find out if I do. Oh, look at the kitty.
But I get what you're saying, though. Like, it's... Yeah. Like, I really do appreciate how they have adapted this show from, like, a comic to a TV show.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are so many formats, so many shows that fail at this so often. But I feel like this is kind of one of the very rare instances where they get it right.
They really do. And the unique thing is that they're beholden to the tale, well, not 100% beholden. They're generally beholden to the tale they're trying to tell, but they also keep it a lot more grounded in reality. That's it's a lot more economically feasible. And then B, it's just a little bit more appealing to watch on a visceral level. I mean, because here's the thing. It would be so expensive and hard for them to show number one as in his aped out form. And if you went full on like the comic book, which I've only seen images of, but apparently it's literally a gorilla body with his head like kind of in a jar on top of the gorilla body. Like that's fucking like the fact that we got, was it Carmichael who's the fish?
I was gonna say it's almost like AJ Carmichael where
right, like the fact that we even got him period is magnifique.
Well, I think that was season 2 money, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Oh yeah, well, and season 1 money was the ape, and then Pogo, right? Is it Pogo?
No. Pogo, yeah, it was Pogo. Which
killed.
I wanted to say, like, Pogo walked so then Baby Groot could jog, so then that baby Pogo could run.
Oh my god. Oh, so
There.
cute. Yeah.
We'll get there. He was so cute. Yeah.
He was, and he's kind of a fucking badass, fucking. But yeah, like, and they kind of took a, and not saying they did this on purpose, but to me, the first thing that I thought of was how they tried to, ironically enough, how they tried to treat X-Men in the early 2000s, which is instead of giving them the big comic book costumes, they kept it like a little bit more realistic, a little bit more budget friendly. Like for example, the white violinist, which is Ellen Page's character,
And
number 8,
Vanya, yeah.
Vanya, when she becomes the white violinist, it like literally, I think like she dresses like that for the entire last half, and then she never takes it off after, supposedly, something like that. But in this, it's like, well, no, she's not dressed like that all the time. Like, she's a normal human being functioning in the world. Like,
yeah, really, within season 7, she only puts it on to go to the concert, and then like in the middle of the concert, she becomes the white violin.
Right, which again was really a really cool visual. And if you try to think, if you try to think too hard of how the physics of that would happen, that's when you go, no, not going to happen. But then again, a man can web swing around New York City, so who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
you don't care about that. But again, all those choices are really valid.
I'm curious, like, let's talk like season 1 first. Like season 1, I watched it all, and I was like, all right, this is interesting. Like, I dig it. Like, I didn't feel like there was a ton of character development off of the first episode, kind of personifications of them. But I did, like, the one thing I really did enjoy that I think kept me engaged was this sort of idea of, like, a bunch of, wayward children coming back and having to be around each other again, which really reminded me of, like, this idea of, like, forced family versus found family. Because let me tell you, there are people in my family that I would do best never associating with again, but there are times where I might have to do that. And like, so I really loved this show because I feel like, and there are some movies and what have you that do deal with this, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But like, I feel like I loved how this show like dealt with, the whole idea is like, for anyone who doesn't know, like that there are these 43, I want to say, children that are born like in 1989 who are all born with these like special powers. And then this one asshole adopts all of them into this home.
I believe the term you're looking for is eccentric billionaire.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
No, it's okay.
Or if we get into season 2, something else. But
oh my god, that's so weird. Yes.
Yeah, it does kind of get into like one of those things where it's like these 7 children like have no choice but to be around each other. They're not related, but they're around each other constantly. Like they're like it really kind of like pumps this idea home of like forced family, which I feel like a ton of people in America have to deal with. Like, your family that like you don't want to be around, you don't like, but like around the holidays, you're like, all right, gotta suck it up and be around, Cheryl for a while.
Great name, by the way, Cheryl, for an annoying family member.
I was avoiding so many of my own aunts' names, but yeah. It is kind of just like it. I really found that fascinating that they're like, they have this cast that has so much diversity in it.
Yeah.
And they are putting them in this situation where like they can't really get away from each other. And like, even though they haven't been in each other's lives for so long, they can't just be like, well, F you. Like, they still have to take care of each other, which I really liked that dynamic.
Well, I think that I would not 100% disagree with you, but I kind of disagree with you on that. I feel that first season, in terms of the character arcs, is that they are horribly broken. And also you get to see all the dynamic of the characters and how
I'm not saying it's not broken.
Well,
I'm not saying it's not broken.
Oh, I guess in terms of the character development, like you need to see them in that broken state and how they interact with each member. Like you could say that in the pilot episode, we only see each other at weddings and funerals, that like that's all you need and you can get right to it. But I kind of feel like you need to see them all break off in certain little groups and work around each other to then go, okay, we know they're broken, but we see how they're broken in different ways. And now we can work on fixing it and getting it to, which then gets us to season 2. But because I guess like too, like, you know, and what's interesting too is what you said, found family. I think all of them kind of want that found family, or they want to like the other people in their family. I wouldn't
say it's found family as much as forced family. What I like, because I would say like found family would be like me and you, like me and you get along really well, and like we're like, yeah, we agree on a lot of stuff. Forced family is like me and, you know, say like the racist uncle in the Dakotas who's like, you know,
well, I
2020, like, well, but you know what I mean. But
oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I misspoke on that, but yeah, forced family is what I meant. But like,
yeah.
But I think they want to, like, Diego is very cold to a lot of people in the family, but at the same time, I think he does want that connection. He wants to be respected by other members of the group. And for him, it feels like that's his love language. I don't think respect is an actual part of the love language, but technically it kind of is. Like he wants acceptance and respect from the other members of the family.
Recognition, I'd say.
Well, and to that, I would also say recognition would come from, or that's how maybe he views the respect. Because
that, and also like recognition with grace.
Oh yeah.
Which be, yeah. But no, I do totally agree with you. Like, it's really funny how, you know, they get together after like this book that Vanya has written and everyone's like really peeved at her about. And like, you know, the dad dies. And then there's like, this is kind of where it really hooked me in season 1 was, I think, We're Alone Now.
Oh yeah.
That music sequence where they're all dancing individually.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that they're in sync but they're not, which is they're all dancing together. They think they're alone, but
they're all doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing, and you can see them actually being kind of happy doing it. But I question if they know that if their families, their siblings are dancing or not. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not necessarily aware of it, and it just makes you feel good. Like the song makes you feel good. It makes you feel good that you sing them, like especially number 1, to see him kind of bust out in that big fucking suit and just start. Well, he's the one that starts playing the song in the first place, which is super weird.
The moon. But yeah, no, he has the record collection, which I love, and oh god, that, like, I will say, I think without whoever the music supervisor was, I don't know that this series would have succeeded in the way it does. I'm gonna go out and say that.
Well, I wonder who did the music. Well, I have to. Here's the thing, too. I have to, in my heart of hearts, have to think that Gabriel Way, because he's with My Chemical Romance, had to at least help out some way with that.
I don't know that he did. Like, I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I could be completely wrong.
I don't think he chose the music, but I think it's just like, hey, we need this song. Could you maybe help get it for cheaper? He might have been like, I'm Gabriel Way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm Gabriel Way and My Chemical Romance. Would you let us use your song for super cheap in our cheap-ass Netflix show?
That 100% makes sense. Like, that I can totally get behind.
And I'm sure Tiffany was like, I don't have a lot going for me. I kind of need this money, Gabriel. Of course you understand. And you're going to put it in the trailer. And I'm sorry, you have a CGI ape. I'll give you a few extra bucks off. But and the other interesting thing in talking about that forced family, which I thought of just now, is that 5. I feel like 5 is the only one that seems resistant to wanting to come together the most. And what's sad is that he, I think, feels the most regret for everything falling apart. And it's this weird dichotomy of difference between I feel like. It's not. 5 is a very kind of like Diego in a way, but in a very different way, which is I feel Diego angrily wears his heart on his sleeve. 5 doesn't wear much of fucking anything on his sleeve. He's very like cool, calm, collected. Well, not always collected, but like he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. And granted, he's also like 80 years old in a
in his 60s or 50s, we'll say
50s or 60s. But dude's old enough to probably have the peace of mind and wisdom to be like, you know what, I'm not going to get as mad. And if I do, it's just because I know shit's really going wrong and we need to fix it. But,
I do love that, but oh god, like fucking that actor's name, Adrian Gallagher.
Yeah.
He's, I think as of season 2, he was 16. And I was just blown away about how, like, because he does this fucking thing that old men do, where, like, or he, like, puts his fucking chin forward, and, like, he's, like, he does this, like, kind of old man posture, almost, where his shoulders are back and his head is forward, and I'm just like, how does a 15, 16-year-old know to do this? Like, he plays an old man in a young boy's body
really well.
So well, which it upsets me almost. Like, if I hadn't shaved my head for quarantine, like, he would be who I would absolutely play Halloween this year.
Oh my god.
Like,
I mean,
I would get the high socks, I'd get the shorts, the culottes, I'd get the, oh my god. But no, he just, like, that actor amazes me with how well he plays a 50 to 60-year-old man. Trapped in a teenager's body, like, with his girlfriend. And then later, like, when he's, like, talking to himself in season 2, I was just like, what? Like,
well, and so that's the interesting thing too, is that like, even by the end of the season, in the beginning of the beginning of the second season, they're all kind of lost. But even in the first season, when small little pockets of them are coming closer together in the way you want them to, because they are, even though they're forced family, they're still family, and they're trying to be family. 5 is so hell bent on his, I gotta save the world, gotta save the future, because if not, there won't be a family. There's this really interesting idea that, and I lost what I was going to go for. Son of a bitch. It was there. It's like literally in the mid thought, like, this is what dementia's like.
I mean, yeah. Well, I'll dip in and say, and this is just like pandemic brain, because I cannot keep a fucking thought together from A to B.
Yeah.
I wish I could. But no, I mean, like, I see what you're saying with, like season 1, you kind of have this whole, like, they're all kind of thrown to the wind and they're fighting and they're like, well, this is never going to work. And they're, like, all, like, angry, and none of them will come together to try to, we'll say, defeat the common evil, which is, at the end of the day, Vanya. Before that, Bobo Lin-Manuel Miranda. Let's talk about that in a minute. But, like, in season 2, I feel like it kind of takes this turn where, despite them all being thrown to the wind, halfway through, they come together and they're like, oh yeah, let's try to defeat this. I mean, like, not totally, like, together, because you have Diego with his hero complex and other shit, but I feel like it's kind of better than season 1. It's not all the way there yet, don't get me wrong.
Well, I think what's interesting too is that you get way more into the superhero stuff in season 2, or at least especially towards the end of it, while in season 1 it is very much a slower build. Like, the big thing hanging over your head as an audience member is, Hazel and Cha-Cha, that's their names. Which, by the way, I usually am the guy that pays attention to credits, but Cha-Cha, played by Mary J. Blige,
yes,
was so good. And I remember when she came on, I was like, is that fucking Mary J. Blige?
Well,
no. And then I looked at the credits, like, holy shit, it's Mary J. Blige.
Well, and have you watched Mindhunter?
I don't think we talked about it on GBG, but I have finally watched Mindhunter. But who was she in Mindhunter?
No. So Hazel is,
oh my god, the first guy they come see, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's the co-ed killer. Yes. I can't think of his actual name, but no, that like, because I heard him talk and I'm like, why do I know that voice? And I looked him up. But beyond that, I do love how in the first season, that is a really great example of, like, I was, like, reading about it. May-December romance. So May-December romance typically is, there's, like, an old man, like an older man, I should say. Like, say a Bill Nighy kind of character.
Yeah.
And he falls in love with a woman who's in her 20s or early 30s. And we call that a May-December romance because she's in May and he's in December. It's like, it's people that are like kind of an elder, younger romance.
Yeah.
But this series does a really fun flip of it. Where I can't remember her name. Agnes? It's not Agnes.
I feel like
it's something. But it's, it's Hazel and the lady at the donut shop. They enter into this romance, and she's obviously older than him.
It is Agnes, by the way.
But like they kind of enter into this like adorable romance that's not necessarily seen a ton in cinema and not seen in TV. Like normally it's flipped. Normally it's an older guy and a younger woman because society.
Yeah, and I like too that, which was interesting, and because so usually in an independent film or even in a TV show, the Hazel character would have to kill Agnes by the end. I feel like that's always how it goes, or something he does gets her killed, and then he then goes mad and dies because usually they're the bad guy too. He or one of the bad guys. He would then die in the process of getting revenge for her death or whatever. And it almost looked like it was going that direction, and they didn't do it though. They didn't end on that. And I loved it so much. That's not how they ended it with, both of them dying. Now, technically season 2 kind of goes back on that, and it makes me a little sad, but
let's ignore that. I mean,
yeah,
I do agree with it. I do agree with you though, Nick. It's that like, I feel like I read somewhere in like the actual comic, like Hazel and Cha-Cha, they have no development whatsoever. Like they're in the, like, so Hazel and Cha-Cha's thing is they're in the heads, like the weird like comic book heads. I don't know what to call them.
I call them like weird cartoon heads because they look fucking weirder. Like they look like Five Nights at Freddy's heads, which I know this came out before Five Nights at Freddy's, but that's what they kind of look like. It's fucking terrifying.
I have no idea what that means, but yeah, like it does kind of go into this thing of like, in the comic, like apparently they're very underdeveloped and they're just insane and like they just want to kill and they're crazy. But like I did enjoy how they were kind of humanized. Like,
right.
They show them checking into the hotel and getting annoyed that they have to show a room and like that they have to carry this briefcase and they have to hide it. Like I really enjoyed that, especially someone who works in corporate America. Like I felt all the complaints so hard.
Well, and I have to ask you, would you also consider that a forced family kind of, because they do have a weird family-like relationship where they care about each other?
Oh, I mean, absolutely, because it's established that they have been together for seemingly forever, like for years and years. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and especially towards the end, it's this, one of them. Well, I guess that has always been kind of the thing that you learn is like, because it's been like what 5-10 years when Hazel let that old lady or the old man go or whatever, and they got away.
Well, you can't give a timeline to that because spoilers, they time travel. But
well, right,
I know what you mean. I agree with you. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, and so it's very clear when you hear that Hazel is wanting, or when he confesses to that is a sign that he's not fully, because she's in for it for probably another 20 years. She's just being tired of being dragged around by corporate, which we all understand as in the corporate field, dealing with corporations. But Hazel's getting kind of tired of it more than her. And yeah, it's interesting that technically, and I would have never thought of that until we're talking about it, but the whole first season is really about, being forced families dealing with each other and kind of colliding with each other, different forced families colliding with each other, whether they're being ordered to or they just happen to. And
yeah, which like I really loved the first season because of that, but like in a way, I love season 2 more.
Okay,
because of this setup in season 1. Because I don't know, it's funnier. They play with the dynamic between like the brother, sister, sibling, whatever.
That is true. And also because in the first season, they're so much at odds with each other that in the next season, it's like, oh, well, we've come together we're all lost through time to a degree and we're finding each other slowly.
My thing is like, you look at like the end of season 1 where they're just kind of at odds, like you said, and they just don't want to cooperate. Like you look through the like last, we'll say 4 episodes of that season, and they're constantly like bickering and fighting at the bowling alley, everywhere else, and they're just like, which is a sibling thing from what I know. I don't know that much because I'm an only child, but I've seen siblings together.
Yeah. Nope, me too.
Yeah, but you kind of look at like season 2, I feel like season 2 you see way more of the quote unquote sibling dynamic.
Yes.
Because like I feel like season 1, it's just them fighting, and then finally they're like, oh shit, we need to save the world. Like it's kind of like a last minute, oh god, we gotta band together sort of thing.
Well, and what's interesting too, I will say, is that, and it's kind of, I'm jumping back to season 1 again for a second to jump back into season 2. Did you think that Allison was going to die? The rumor, number 3. Do you think she was going to die at the end of the first season? No, you didn't? See,
no.
So all the trailers I saw didn't show her, or I probably wasn't paying attention. Let's go with that one too. But if I did see any of them, I just saw Ellen Page and Luther and 5. I didn't see much of, and Klaus. I saw a lot of Klaus. I didn't see a lot of anybody else, not even Diego. So it was just like, well, so I literally was like, oh shit, is she going to die? And then when she did survive, the new question is, will she have her power? And season 2 keeps you kind of guessing on that for like a half second, which is nice.
And I guess like that's kind of that is a difference between the comic and the show. Is like, I guess like in the comic, like she cannot speak. I don't know if ever again, but like she can't speak for a while, and like apparently in the comic she like tortures Vanya for a while.
Aww.
Yeah, exactly.
But to be fair, in that defense, we also don't know how Vanya's played out in that comic too. So she could be actually evil.
I don't either. But I mean, it kind of does kind of go into that idea of like, I did like how in the first season, like they tried to kind of give this concerted effort to Allison trying to reconnect with her sister, especially between the two sisters.
Yeah, I mean, Vanya tried too, and she just was like, I'm tired of doing this with you. I've tried to, and I'm sorry for what I've done. I didn't see how it would hurt you guys.
Yeah,
and especially you.
I do kind of see like Allison specifically like continuing to try.
Oh, yeah, totally. 100%. But again, though, the beauty of watching a television show is that we see one character trying, the other character doesn't see them try. So thus, for us, the pathos of what's involved.
Yeah.
And out of all the other siblings, Allison is trying. She is trying, and it makes you kind of sad that, I mean, and then you kind of feel bad, too, because you still don't necessarily know until, like, 2 episodes till the end if Peabody, Leonard or Harold Jenkins or whatever the fuck his name is,
now Lin-Manuel Miranda, like, or what we want to say, discount Lin-Manuel Miranda,
which is sad because I've seen him in other stuff and he's a good actor, but I totally get what you're saying.
I know he is, but like the minute I saw him, like, oh my god, he looks like
you know what? So, because I'm sure we have so many Hollywood people listening to this show, I just want you to know, you guys, whoever, you guys need to put, I think, what's the actor's name? John Magaro and then Manuel Miranda. They need to be brothers in a movie. Make it happen. Boo.
Absolutely.
Or actually, he could be, what would be funny is if they ever bring his character back, but like, well, they can't do the father, but maybe it's like his uncle, or maybe it's his other brother or something that we just never saw.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be. It'd be funny for you and I.
But I do see like everyone I know who has watched the show is like, oh yeah, Bobo, Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm like, yeah. They do look similar. They do. I'm sorry. It's fine.
It's so funny. What were you gonna say before that? Sorry.
I have no idea.
Oh, fair enough. But so with season 2, yeah, they are kind of all split up to the wind. Mm-hmm. But in a way, though, it's nice too, because I feel like to get to that moment when they do finally start catching up with each other and the edge is kind of off all of them, except for Diego, because that's how Diego's character is naturally. And 5 is just always, and they're kind of with everybody else at all times. Yeah. But like even Luther let go of a lot of shit. Like, because remember 5 finds him and he's just like, I'm good, man. You want to save the world. We already tried that. We succeeded, but I'm here now. I have a life. Like, he's kind of moved on, but at the same time, that's allowed him space to, I don't know, get to a better place, I guess. weirdly enough, or at least that's how it feels like to me when I watch that.
I will disagree with that.
Like he realized that he needed to move on, not necessarily that he enjoyed doing that. But by the time 5 showed up, because Luther was always one who's like, guys, we got to get together. We got to save the world. We got to do this. We got to do this.
I like what you're saying, but I would disagree only in the fact that, like, when he landed in season 2 in the 60s, he immediately went and worked for Jack Ruby, who turned into a father figure for him, much in the way that, like, Pogo and...
Yes. Okay.
Which also...
from the record.
So this is totally like off topic, and I may have already said this, forgive me if I did, but yeah, watched this entire series, and then I came home and my mom, I talked to her about it, and she was like, oh yeah, I watched that first episode, and we watched the entire 2 series in 2 days together. And like, she had a moment of going, oh my god, that's Jack Ruby. And I'm like, who the hell is Jack Ruby? And I had to look it up, which Jack Ruby is the guy that ended up who assassinated JFK.
Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, he assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald, which, like, in the FBI Inquisition, it was decided, like, he had nothing to do with it, and it was not a conspiracy, but also...
Yeah, right. Isn't like the weird thing about the whole JFK thing in general is kind of bizarre and fucked up. But
we can skip all that bullshit. But I mean, it was like one of those funny things where my mom was like, "Oh, so now Jack Ruby is his dad instead of Hargreaves."
That is true. You know what? Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I can't really. I mean, I think that gives him the stability that it comes off. I feel like he kind of starts spiraling when Allison shows up into his old. But I mean, you expect that because.
I find it super interesting. Like, right before Allison sees him, like, he's shown kind of like binge eating, which I found very interesting, especially because before now, he has spent, 4 years on the moon? And, he's kind of shown, like, yeah, he's big because he has a gorilla body, but also he's been on the moon for 4 years, so it's kind of up. Like, I feel like there was a moment in season 1, like, when he, discovers that his dad never opened any of his packages, essentially, like, from the moon.
Yeah.
And there was, like, I can't remember when, but there was, like, a moment where, like, in the package, it was like, please send more food. So there's kind of this interesting idea that, like, he became very food insecure on the moon. And you kind of see him very, like, kind of weird and, like, sunken almost, with, like, the weird beard at the very beginning when he gets the message about his dad dying. But then, like, beyond, like, when he gets back home from the moon, because that's Luther's whole fucking thing when he's a shithead in the first season, is like, I was on the moon. And
yes, we get it. You were on the moon. Thank you.
Jesus, right? But, like, you see him after that, and, like, when he's having kind of a tumultuous episode, he is gorging. He is eating, right?
Yeah. Well, do you think that is also because in the first season he was still under the delusion, even towards the end, that his dad loved him? Like, there had to be a reason. Like, even though he finally admitted that his dad was probably a shithead, but, like, even then there felt like there was still doubt. Like, Hargraves was still, like, maybe not as bad or whatever. Then it's just like, no, season 2, he's just like, I have a dad now, kind of.
I don't know.
But I'm not going to lie, I did not think about that, about the food aspect. I remember him pigging out because you hadn't really seen him eat much of anything.
And then you see him in season 2 when he's at that barbecue place, and he's just like, he has like 4 plates in front of him, which, like, who hasn't been there? I've been there. Like, no judgment, Luther. But, like, so there's Luther, who very obviously, like, is, like, top boy. Always wanted to be top boy. And can we just go through the siblings for a minute here?
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like, we have Luther going to the moon, who stayed the longest.
Yep.
And just kind of went with the flow and, ended up as an ape, kind of. Tough break.
Wow.
But then you have, so 2 was Diego. Yeah. Diego has, like, your hero complex.
Yeah. He wants to be Batman. He legitimately, I think they even call him Batman at one point, I think, towards the middle of season 1. It's like, you can't be Batman. Don't they say that to him?
I feel like,
Or
yeah.
maybe it's like a non-copyright version of Batman.
Something around there. But honestly, like, watching him, and like, this is just kind of me, like, I liked him way better in season 2 than, like, like, I still liked him in season 1, don't get me wrong, but like season 2, I feel like, oh, you got into it a lot more. So then you have 3, who was Allison?
Yeah, Allison. She's the rumor.
The rumor, 3. Yeah. Yep. And like, you know, that's a whole interesting dynamic, because like, you could look at it from the show as like, there are so many quote unquote problems she could solve.
Oh yeah.
But she doesn't. And like, honestly, and I think they illustrate this really wonderfully in season 2, when she goes into the diner as a Black woman and has like the white man pour coffee on himself. Like, I feel like that's illustrated really well as why that can't work all the time, which I liked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, not season, Jesus Christ. Number Klaus. 4 is
Klaus.
Oh my god. This may be just like this may just be a me thing, but oh my god. Okay, so Klaus's introduction I'm sorry. Klaus's introduction, where he leaves rehab and literally 5 seconds later is like being revitalized in the back of an ambulance, and he high fives his EMT. Like, that was one of those awful, like, I don't know, Nick, you may not know about this, but like, any girls who have things for like broken, awful men, like, think a Loki.
Okay.
Think a Sherlock. Think like a Ben Solo.
Okay.
But I looked at him and went, oh, fuck. You're going to be my favorite, aren't you? Nick?
Yeah.
Spoiler, it was totally true.
Oh my god.
So, have you ever watched Misfits?
No. It's been a long time. It's the movie, right?
No, it's a series.
Oh, then no.
Channel 4 in Britain, and like
ITV or whatever.
I can't think of his damn name. Who plays Klaus?
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Klaus is played by Robert Sheenan.
Which, anyone who's on TikTok, bonsoir. I guess they did a read through of some script, and it was like, there's now an audio on TikTok that's very popular. It was like, Ellen Page, who plays Vanya, Aidan Gallagher, who plays Five, and Robert Sheehan, who plays Klaus, and he goes, bonsoir, like, in the background, and it's now, I guess, like a meme, like audio, which is great. But no, anyway, Robert Sheehan was on Misfits early seasons, and he's Irish, which you would not expect listening to him, but oh my god, he's amazing, and I love him. And I was so excited to see him in this series.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. I mean, so I just remember when in the first season, I was like, the first episode, I was like, I think I'm going to like him, but I'm going to hate liking him. And then I'm going to love to hate him for doing stupid drug shit, because you want to see him get clean, or like, and we didn't, I was like, also there's a reason why he does what he does. And, you know, midway through season 1, you realize why that is. Or actually, yeah, when Cha-Cha and Hazel have him, that's when you're just like, this is kind of funny that he's torturing Hazel and Cha-Cha with this.
But it's
really fucking sad. But it's really sad, though, when you think about it, too, because you're like, gee, and they don't say it explicitly right away yet. I think it's the next episode or two when I think Justin Lin, who plays Ben, tells him, it's like, maybe if you would stop fucking doing drugs all the time, you could control your powers more, and you could help these people who are coming to you, and yada yada. And you're just like, yeah, that makes sense on why you would fucking have to do all those drugs, because and to see what his dad, Mr. Hargreaves, does to him in the second season when he was a child is even worse, and you understand why he doesn't want that.
The best thing I ever saw in relation to Klaus was, you know, that meme of the car dealer that like slaps the top of the car. It's like, you can fit so much, quote unquote, into this bad boy.
Oh yeah. And
Like someone did that with Klaus in the passenger seat, and it was like, you can fit so much trauma into this bad boy. And I was like, oh my God.
it's so true. And then season 2, it also kind of gets worse because he goes to Vietnam.
That's season 1.
Oh, that's season 1. He goes to Vietnam.
Yeah, that's like halfway through season 1. He like,
oh my God.
It was after he escapes Cha-Cha and Hazel, and like he
Yep.
steals a suitcase, and then like he disappears. Which, hold on. Okay, so the big woman. Let's get back to that. In that scene, there is we'll say an NPC who is bigger in that scene, who shows up again, who is like, I guess like a whole, like, it's a fan theory anyway. But he like, goes to Vietnam, comes back, falls in love with Dave, which, oh God.
Yeah.
Like him, like Klaus, I think Klaus is my favorite character, only because, yeah, he is fucked up. He is addicted to drugs. But he deals with all of his bullshit in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
That I kind of fucking love.
Yeah. Well, I think he does damage to himself and not necessarily others, or it doesn't often roll over into other people.
Well, and even beyond damage to yourself, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like he decides to kind of just like, he decides to take 2. He decides to self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, other bullshit still seems to come into his life.
Yeah.
Because, like, you think about, like, very early in season 1, like, he steals his dad's box and like throws like his journal, and like, that kind of like leads into the rest of the season where
that's true.
Bobo Lin-Manuel Miranda like steals. Like, I'm sorry. Can we look at a picture of him, because
yeah,
he literally looks like Bobo Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Hold on here real quick.
He was a great actor, don't get me wrong. He was great.
Let me see here. Here we go. Right there. Yeah. Look, and we have him in front of a picture of the New York Times. Ooh. So he's got that New York charm going on there.
But yeah, he had the whole, like, kind of like plaid New York. Like, his hair is not that high in the show. It's like down more.
Yeah, he's a lot more, Brooklyn homie kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Like, even my mom said, is that Lin-Manuel Miranda? And I was like, no, it's not.
But don't you wish it was?
I do wish it was. Well, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, so end of season 1, I was I can't think of the right way to say this, misbelieved that season 2 would be all of the characters in their children form.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the very, very end of that season, so okay, spoilers for anyone listening to this for whatever reason, but like, yeah, Ellen Page's character blows up the moon, it like creates the apocalypse, and like 5 is like, yeah, I can time travel, and then like they pick up Ellen Page and they do this like weird roundabout, and all the actors are played by the younger versions of themselves, which led me to believe season 2 would be from their perspective in some way.
Yeah. I feel you. And then it didn't happen, and you're like, oh, no. Okay.
And don't get me wrong. I loved how season 2 started. It was great.
Yeah. Well.
But like, I felt insane for being like, oh, they're just going to use the child actors now, huh? Like, I feel like the way they filmed that was not great.
Yeah, it was a little unclear in terms of setting up more beyond that. Like, or, yeah.
It'd be one thing if, like, because I feel like what they did was they did a pan, and they were all adult. They did a second pan, they were all children. If they did a third pan and they were all adult, I don't think I would have been as confused. But
or I think the other thing is, too, is that there should have been a better setup for for that happening. Like, for example, whose perspective possibly is that they're all children again? Like, it's supposed to make you as an audience feel like they're kids again, but like,
I guess after watching season 2, like, my assumption is the ending of 1 was like, oh, they haven't been together like this since they were kids.
Yeah.
So they're reflecting on that, but yeah, like, I see what you mean.
If you would have shown it like maybe once, or actually I would say if you showed it like every 2 episodes before up to that point, where like maybe someone leaned over and it's like they saw them as their younger selves and they can't get over that. Oh,
all right, let's talk about season 2 though.
Yes.
Nick, season 2. How did you feel about season 2?
I loved it.
I thought it was like, because honestly, the reason I got my mom to watch it was she was like, is it less dour, I think her words were, than season 1? And I was like, oh no, it's way funnier.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just as bittersweet, but it feels like there's a little bit more joy to be found in the dourness. Well, in the first season, it's like it's so dour that any humor they're giving you is just like, oh, this is still fucking depressing. In the season 2, though, it's like, you know, I think really the only one that has the most dourest of them all is Klaus. Everyone else is, you know, it's not as bad. Like, Klaus goes through some fucking shit, everybody, and it's really funny to watch him go through it.
Well, I feel like Klaus goes through a lot of shit season 1, but season 2...
Well, no, he does in season 1
season
too.
Season 2! Can we talk about season fucking 2? Where he, like, the minute he showed up in that broken down car, I was like, immediately, I was like, oh, he got into some shit.
Oh my god, yeah, and he created a cult, which...
Right?
is so funny to me because
it works so well for him.
It does, which in itself is super funny because technically he's just doing it so he can get free stuff and just get by. That's the only reason.
Well, and let's talk about, oh my god, him quoting song lyrics from like modern times. Don't go chasing waterfalls, like,
please stick to the rivers and the we used to.
And or like, oh my god, we're back again.
Oh, yes. And then they had that awesome record drop of
Jesus Christ.
It was so good.
It was so good. Honestly, like I did like season 1. I do think that season 2 like was above season 1 just because of, I don't know, like the timeline, just the songs, and many other things. Oh god, the eye for the eye moment.
Oh,
with Luther and Diego, where they saw the blood and they called. I can't remember her name, but like,
oh shit. It's not Allison. They called out. Oh, the daughter, right? That's who they're talking. Yeah.
No, just like they were like, I can't even remember. Like, it was like eye for an eye, but in Swedish, and like they were like, we're gonna call I'll look it up. Oga for Oga, and like they called this poor woman, and they were like, we're gonna kill you, and then 5 comes and goes, it's eye for eye, you fucking idiots. They were like, we're so sorry, ma'am. I'm like, so are you familiar with the himbo discourse of 2020?
The himbo discourse?
No, you're not.
Oh, well, maybe I am. I just don't know that's what it was called. The himbo discourse.
So himbo is the idea that there is, think a bimbo.
Yeah,
we'll start there.
It's a male version of that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like this dumb, polite, adorable child that like, but legit like Luther and goddamn Diego are like ultimate himbos who have like one brain cell between the two of them that they're just like passing back and forth. When they have that fucking that goddamn call where they're like, yeah, we're gonna come get you.
Oh yeah,
like that where they called like Olga for Olga. God, who did they call? I can't remember, but they were like, oh, sorry, ma'am. That whole fucking thing.
Bit where they're calling them on the phone and threatening them, and
that poor old woman where they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna come get you," and she was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, ma'am." Like,
yeah, it's a complete change in Diego's and Luther's. Yeah,
like Diego and Luther, I did not care about prior to this moment in this series.
really, fair enough.
Like I liked them; they were fine air, but like when they were like when they got to that like himbo moment of like, yeah, we're gonna come get you, and then like 5 was like, no, you freaking idiots, like it means eye for eye, and they were like, goodbye, ma'am, and they hung up. I was like, oh my god.
Oh,
I don't know.
Well, and and that's one of the beautiful things that they actually have in fucking common with each other is that they don't really think a lot of things through all the time.
Well, and that's what I liked. That's what I liked about season 2 versus season 1 is like Diego and Luther, like they had one brain cell between the two of them. They were like, okay, we're gonna pass between each other. It's fine. Because they were just so dumb. They were so dumb.
Oh my gosh. And then in season 2, what was the name of the daughter of Fran Kate Walsh's character? Five's former boss.
Oh, Lila. Maybe. Hold up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up. She was great. I loved her at first.
Yeah. Well, you're waiting for... Well, like, I guess remember when Five was chasing her and I was like, she has to have a power or something. We just don't know.
When she like kept disappearing and reappearing, I was like, yeah, she's got a...
Right. And I also thought too, once they didn't really dwell on it at all, Five was just like, how was she able to do that? And that was it. And they let it go. I was just like, I feel like she's one of them, maybe, or one of the 43. And yeah.
Can we talk about the amazing song usage during that whole like moment? It was Bad Guy. It was a cover of Bad Guy from Billie Eilish.
Yeah, hold on here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, the Interrupters. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about this too is that the soundtrack overall, because I don't want to put too much on there for copyright purposes. But yeah, like even the cover songs of things they got on there, fantastic. Yeah, like they do like a lot of good covers in this song. Like, oh my god, the Milkmen. Can we talk about them? Oh, the Swedish guys?
Yeah,
they were.
I weirdly felt bad for them toward the end.
Well, they're just caught up in it. It's like it's a very different thing than Hazel and Cha-Cha, which is they don't talk a lot, and so they convey a lot of emotion without saying a lot.
I guess I don't know, like. Hazel and Cha-Cha, they were like, what the fuck ever, we're gonna go wherever we want. But like the Swedish, or we'll say the IKEA mafia, are like in a house with a woman they killed, but they're also like, we're gonna take care of the cats while we're here. Which is such a weird little thing. So it shows that they're not completely heartbroken. They're just doing what they need to do to take over the house and have a place to stay because it's nearby with where they need to go and set up shop. So, yeah. Jesus. And then they're actually also family members. They're all brothers. And when that one steps on the mine, you do kind of feel bad for him, but you're also just like, get all of them. Shit, there's 2 left. Because these guys could probably actually kill our heroes, and you don't want that. But so how did you feel about... I guess we'll say the ending. Well, let's go back. Vanya's whole thing is like she forgets who she is. Goes and gets into a lesbian relationship with her housemate, which is wonderful, but like somehow gives her power to, we'll say, somebody on the spectrum, like an autistic boy. Yeah. But then, at the end of that season, the handler, or Kate Walsh, who is a goddamn queen in this show. We haven't even talked about her yet. Kate Walsh is so nice. She's so good. She's nice? Nice, and I don't mean nice. I mean, she... I knew what you meant. Her face is bait this entire show. She shows up and looks so good. and is so great. And like, she's a terrible person, but like, anytime she shows up, you're like, oh, great, Kate Walsh is here.
Yeah, she's really good. And the thing is that you kind of believe her for a second that Carmichael is running things to shit, you know? And you kind of feel bad that the order of things, but then you realize, oh no, things are not going well with her in charge because she's running it like a dictatorship, you know? But again, part of me also questions too, is she running it like that because she got fucked over at the end of the first movie or the first season? You know what I mean? She failed. It's kind of tricky to tell, like, if that's why or not.
I don't know. Apparently, like, Carmichael makes a bigger appearance in the comic book series, so I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I would have loved to see more of Carmichael because it's such an interesting and strange thing. Like, I would have loved to have seen more of him, but...
Oh my god, but can we talk about, though, that scene from season 2?
where 5 kills all of them?
Where 5 just goes in.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, and the interesting thing is too is that I feel like 5 would have done a decent job at it, but he goes in with so much rage because he can't get his candy bar or chip bag of chips out from the vending machine. I feel like it just adds to his anger. And so
yeah, maybe.
I mean, because I kind of feel like, well, look, 5's a good killer. He can do what he needs to do, but like, you look like he's super pissed off when he's going through and killing all those people, and you're just like, yeah, he's not having a good day. He really he wanted that candy bar. I don't know. It's such a...
I do love, somebody was like, they talked about how like 2 like women walked in and they were like, oh, not our problem. And I was like, no, they're not like part of like the, I don't know, what do they call it? The conglomerate, like the...
Shit. Conglomerate. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about.
But like, they were obviously like members of the hotel that like walked in and were like, oh, no, thank you. But people were like, oh yeah, they were obviously part of the like bigger thing. I'm like, no, they weren't. They just like walked in like I would have and gone, oh, nope, I'm gonna
walk out because I'd have to clean this up, and this is horrific. Let the cops come first. Yeah.
Don't need that shit.
Oh my God. No, but beyond that, the end of season 2, I kind of felt they held on. I guess that was my only complaint, is they held too long on to 5 using the power that his dad told him about. I felt like that was so obviously
his dad or Hazel.
I thought it was his dad that told him about, because it's when he ran into his dad into the tiki room or whatever, and they were talking, and he was just like, well, that's why don't you do time travel like this and just a few seconds ahead or a few seconds backwards instead of whatever. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. But I felt like that was like episode 4, and we had like 5 episodes left or something to go. And so by the time it happened, I was like, this is so clearly, obviously a smoking gun. And there was like 5 other times I felt like he could have used it before that last moment. And it was still so good and so executed well that, because they were all executed, I ended up enjoying it and not caring anyway. But that was my only complaint with the end. I enjoyed everything else. Fran Walsh's plan to attack them at the family ranch and how the kid got the power and all that. I really enjoyed it. But did you enjoy it? Or?
I like the idea that Harlan, or the child's... Was that the child's name?
I think it was the child's name.
Harlan like had like a fucking like sparrow the entire time, which I think will lead into the Sparrow Academy if it gets renewed. I goddamn hope it will. I hope it will. I
think it did, but Netflix, as the time we're recording this, Glow had one final season and they
canceled it. Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm not gonna hold on to it, but we'll try. But yeah, I like Harlan going into a Glow. I'm like, all right, let's go. We'll try this. But I don't know. I don't believe in it. I don't like it. I don't know.
I'm kind of sad that Ben's
I want to watch more. I want to watch more of the fucking Umbrella Academy. Like, I want to like read the comic.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just right now, I'm just kind of like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah. I love, no, you're fine. I love the show and I want to see it continue. I'm also bummed too. I think it's more as I'm bummed because I don't want them to fight Ben, and Ben sounds like he's a real fucking grade A asshole in this.
Well, that was my thing, was
timeline.
like at the end when like Ben evaporated, we'll say, like I'm like, oh, I loved Ben, but now I feel like next season he's gonna be like primed to be an asshole.
Oh yeah, totally. Which I'm sure the actor is like just going like, I'm kind of sad, but I'm loving this. But
oh yeah, I'm sure the actor is fucking living for it.
Well, and that's interesting too, is that I feel like we didn't talk about Hargraves that much at all either.
Hargraves, the alien who came here to do whatever he wanted to do. Like,
yeah,
Hargraves.
And by the way, I just realized I looked it up. It's Hargreaves. I am so sorry. It's Hargreaves. That's my fault. I said it wrong. But
come at me.
Come at me, bro.
Internet. Come at me, internet. Like, but no, Hargreaves is. There's something wrong.
Well, and you do feel conflicted because when he does finally see Klaus in the deathscape or whatever you want to call it, the dreamscape before you die or whatever, like he does seem to care. There's a hint that he cares, and that was just his way of fucking. He's like, I had a job to do and I needed to do it, so I did it. Mm-hmm. And so I had to be cruel to you kids because you guys had to do what you needed to do to save the world. And I knew it was coming. And then there's that weird, I think it's in the first episode of season 2, or maybe it's the second episode. No, I think it's the first episode of season 2 where you see him coming. It looks like he's on an alien planet, but he's wearing his human mask and so is his wife. But then he leaves in a spaceship and now he's on a boat in the 1900s, England, mm-hmm. or is it or it's wherever he lands at, New York, whatever.
Yeah.
Gets off the boat and buys the Umbrella Academy. And you're like, the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. And by the time you do catch up to him, he's like, I'm badass James Bond over here running the Umbrella Academy. And mm-hmm. And I have a nice little set of things to say to number 5. Once I realize he's not an asshole here to kill me. Also, I hate kids. I would never do that. And then I don't know. It's bizarre. And I don't know where they're moving him at in terms of the show. So
I mean, nowhere aside from being an abusive asshole. I mean,
well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. See, that's the thing is they put some seeds in there that make you. He probably will be. You're 100% right. I just wonder if they might try to redeem him in some small way.
Doubt it. But that's me. That's having a dad who is an absent father, but that's just me.
No, it's okay. I mean, not, you know what I mean? It's not okay that you have never mind.
I know
okay.
what you... I know.
So, but I mean, we kind of covered everything else. All right, well, Kyle, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you all for listening. You have a good day.
Bye.
I don't know how to fucking end these shows still. It's so
Leave.
Weird. The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky is presented by D4K Studios. Executive producer is Nick Argenbright. Co-producers are Ashley Carlson and Catherine Ranella. The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky is also made possible by our Kickstarter backers. To see our backers, check out our show notes over at gbgpodcast.com. Our theme and end credit tracks for The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky are by chiptune artist Hide Your Tigers. You can check out their music by going to hideyourtigers.bandcamp.com. We also feature the track from Futurama, The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, an arrangement by our own Nathan Haley. If you enjoy our program, be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and to leave a review or subscribe to wherever podcasts are streamed.
Get out of here without cheese! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you showed up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something! Because I'll tell you something! This is a happy place!